Hello and welcome to episode 153 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we progress the Godforge, adding a new ring, and also work on making our resource generation and IOFs more robust. Finally, we discuss how to progress as far as Universium is concerned. Time for some George progression. This is where I'm at with charge, conversion, and catalyst. Composition is just a matter of building things, so that will just happen along the way. And trying to figure out which one of these is going to be the fastest to complete. So for charge, there is an upgrade that I get in the future that will allow me to set the voltage in each module's GUI. So it uncaps the maximum processing voltage, which means I can spend as much EU as I want as quickly as I want. Catalyst is a bit more difficult. Both the dimensionally transcendent residue and the condensed raw stellar plasma mixture both use like an n to the n amount per contribution to the catalyst milestone, but the star matter here is a linear relationship. So if I could use this, that would be completed much more quickly, but this stuff is kind of expensive. And for conversion, this one is actually the easiest to do. Conversion is the number of recipes completed, right? So what I'm going to do is, and I've already tested it, which is why I have 2 billion aluminium ingots, I'm going to macerate these all back into dust, and then I'm going to put the dust in the stocking input bus, where it will very quickly be converted back into ingots. And each aluminium ingot that's smelted counts as a recipe. And I could probably do this with quite a few different dusts. I just need to find ones that are really quick to blast and use those. Maybe Mysterious Crystal, for example, might be kind of fast. It's not going to be as fast as aluminium, but I'll take a look at the blast furnace's recipes and decide on something. But aluminium is insanely fast. I'm obviously being bottlenecked by these macerators, so I think I'm going to make a couple more and put them in my machine room somewhere. The other one, the nice one. But before I do that, I do want to show you how much eternity I've managed to build up. My frame rate is starting to suffer here, by the way, and I'm sorry about that, but I don't know if there's anything I can do besides turning off shaders, which I will do when it becomes unplayably low. It's getting there. So for eternity, looking pretty good. I'm up to 300,000 molten eternity, and it's only going to go up. The issue that I'm having is I'm not able to make liquid primordial matter fast enough, because that needs the star matter to make. And actually, upon closer inspection, star matter is much more quickly produced by lower tier recipes. So I'm actually running the overworld recipe right now. Once the fluids get input into these hatches, let me show you how fast it completes. It's actually crazy. As a reminder, this used to take me hours, remember? Or at least close to an hour. And now, it takes me less than a minute. Time dilation field gens are very powerful. And the overworld recipe here has something like a 60% or almost 70% chance of success. And with this current setup of 775, it ends up being about 888 star matter per second. And because of that, making MHD CSM is not that crazy. I do need to start making Eternity nanites though, instead of the White Dwarf ones, because it effectively halves the number of Universium nanites I need per MHD CSM. And Eternity nanites are not that bad to make. It needs blocks of Eternity, but I have those. And finally, for composition, I am crafting the next tier of Godforge ring casings, or graviton flow modulators. I'm gonna work on some Godforge progression. I'll be back when the next ring is done, or if I have enough shards for the next upgrade. Second Godforge ring. Spins the opposite direction, which is funny. But I will say right now, I did not hand place this for two reasons. Firstly, I couldn't figure out how to turn off the Godforge, so I would have had to build like wildest things spinning around, which is kind of nauseating to be honest, so I didn't want to do it. And also because it's just a circle, like it's not that interesting. The first one was fun, the second and third ones are basically the same thing but smaller. Well cool, now I should have enough shards for the next upgrade. And I do. This uncaps the max fuel consumption, but the amount of fuel consumed changes a little bit for amounts that are past the normal maximum limit, and it uses this formula. I haven't really looked into how this scales, and I don't really care. I'm sure the more fuel I use, the more fuel I get, but also the more like fluid I need to provide. And that's basically how it works. Up next, the boundless flow. uncapping maximum processing voltage. I need 8 more shards for this. It shouldn't be too hard to get, considering I am almost at another conversion milestone. I haven't even placed my macerators yet, so this is going to be done really quickly. The charge milestone is also slowly building up. I think we'll get to it today, even without the uncapped voltage. But I think for the final tier of charge, I am going to need to uncap some voltages. That's fine though. Catalyst is my pain point. And also looking more closely at this recipe, I didn't notice this before, but it's a max tier recipe, which means I need a UXV energy hatch to be able to run it in the EIC, because the minimum allowed energy hatch tier is 1 below the recipe tier. So a UMV laser hatch is not going to be able to do this recipe. Unfortunate. So I'm going to have to struggle along with the double Universium cost for a little bit longer. My antimatter production is starting to struggle a little bit with all the energy demand, especially with the Gorge now constantly draining power. And yeah, I've tried to look into what the problem is, and I think I figured it out. It's the depleted NAC fuel Mark 6, but it's not that I can't burn it fast enough, it's now that I can't make it fast enough. And originally the problem was this distillation tower not distilling fast enough, but I added some energy hatches. This is pretty fast now. The new bottleneck is here. One Naquata fuel refinery is no longer cutting it. I think I'm going to make 2 more, one for each step of Naquata fuel processing. Or maybe I'll just have all 3 of them do all the recipes. That's probably better. Maybe I'll make 4. Yeah, I'll make 4. I also started gathering up stuff for more Eyes of Harmony. And this is the cost of making another Eye of Harmony without any of the casings or without any of the field generators, so just the casings. And this isn't so bad, except I'm running out of Naquadria quite a lot now. So I think I'm going to make 1 or 2 more miners and dedicate them to Naquadria. I have some kind of weird infrastructure shortages here, mostly in power gen and also space mining, surprisingly. So I'm just going to keep at it. I'm getting this Godforge done. Hey, I just discovered something really weird. So I've made a few more macerators here. I didn't really want to make 32 or 64 or whatever, so I just made 8. This is fine for now. And they're all currently macerating the aluminium back into aluminium dust. And I also thought to do calcium dust. So I have 3 billion calcium ingots now and 0 dust. But did you know you cannot macerate calcium ingots back into calcium dust? Why? I have no idea. But look at this. Calcium ingot. And nothing's happening. And indeed, if you check the uses for calcium ingots, there is not a maceration option. It's just not there. So I now have 3 billion calcium ingots and almost no use for them. On the plus side though, George is nearly done with the conversion milestone. I just need to double what I've done so far, which sounds crazy, but it's really not. I just need another 20 billion recipes and that's done. That's funny though, to hear myself say just 20 billion recipes. Once conversion is done, I will be able to buy the boundless flow, which uncaps the processing voltage, which will in turn allow me to get the charge milestone done really quickly. Well, as quickly as I can make power. So in this moment, kind of not that quickly. But anyway, I'm currently working on expanding my mining capabilities because I do not mine Naquadria fast enough, not even close. And same here, same with these two. This is the uranium and plutonium. Or I guess it's just the plutonium that's always low, but this also mines uranium. So I'm going to make more of these, I'm going to make more of those. And I am aware of the cloud computation hatches, but I have read that they're buggy, so I'm going to avoid them for now. I'm instead just going to use a bunch of network switches to get the data flowing over here. And also this doesn't actually need to be a Lapatronic supercapacitor because the mining modules use UEV power and they have up to 8 parallels, so 8 amps of UEV each. And at most there are going to be 24 modules, so actually a 64 amp UIV energy hatch will be enough to power all of them. So I'm just crafting one up right now. I have some weird giant batch sizes, and also I really should passive spacetime. I've been passiving infinity on all my DTPFs. I think I'm going to put half of them on spacetime. Anyway, wiring this is going to be such a pain without cloud computation. Maybe I'll try it anyway. I don't know. I really don't want this to be unreliable because this is like the start of everything. This is resource generation, right? So I kind of want to be robust here. All right, it's been a little bit. Conversion is complete. No more aluminium smelting. That's done. This also means I can buy the boundless flow, which means I can uncap the processing voltage, as I've said many times now, I think. Next up, I need to get charge done. Now, I don't have that much energy to just throw away right now. Let me see how much I actually need. Okay, this is 20 quintillion EU that I need to spend here. And after that, it needs to be another 150-ish quintillion EU to get the final progress segment here. Now, I do have 20 quintillion to throw away. I have 38 quintillion, but I am kind of reluctant to do that. And I've been working on fixing my NAC fuel generation. I've upgraded the space elevator to have better motors, Mark IV now, so I can have 18 mining modules. And I've started to set them up. I now have 3 going for Naquadria, and this has created a new issue. My ore processing isn't fast enough. I will now reveal that this whole time, I've been using 4 out of my 24 integrated ore factories. And at this point, I can pretty confidently say, I don't need all of the ore factory modes. Realistically, I need 2 of them. I need the standard one of macerate, wash, macerate, centrifuge, and I need the other one, which is macerate, wash, sift. That's it. All the other ones are not really needed. So instead of the 6 quads I had here like this, I'm instead going to split it into 4 and 2. So 4 for the standard route, so 16 IOFs in total for the standard route, and 2 quads for the sifting route. And that's it. That's all I'm gonna have. And I will be the first person to admit this building is shit. This is probably one of the worst buildings I have on the base. So I'm gonna slowly work on making this a bit more aesthetically pleasing. Starting with, instead of cramming these IOFs in here like I have, there's not really any walking space. There's no vista to be had inside here. So instead I'm gonna start putting them below each other. And then have catwalks, maybe going down, maybe not, but some kind of like balcony here so you can look down and see all of them. And I think that will look a lot nicer. And I've just started working on that. I've torn down my first IOF and I'm just gonna replace it below. Also, all this cabling can be cleaned up quite a bit because I no longer need to sort the ores. Not really. I basically just need to sort the siftable ones and everything else just gets dumped in here and will be handled by the default route. And my overflow drives are starting to fill up, so I think I need to make a few more digital singularities and sort some more things. Fun. All right, back to work. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish off the Godforge today entirely, because there's just too much waiting to do still. Also, the next upgrade requires items. I've submitted some of them. It was White Dwarf Matter frame box, Eternity frame boxes, Universium frame boxes, and some UMV field gens that I've submitted. I also need to make some Black Dwarf Matter frame boxes, some Infinite Spacetime Energy boundary casings, some Tier 6 stabilization field gens, and some Mega Ultimate batteries. 6 of them. So I'm making these exotic stabilization field gens right now, and I'm making 1 extra to scan so I can make the Tier 7 stabilization field gen and start upgrading my Eyes of Harmony. And I did say eyes because I plan to make 2 more. The only issue is making the field generators. They're quite expensive after all and take a long time to make, which is fine and all, but if I can avoid making more than I need to, then I will. And what I mean by that is if I can make the Tier 8 compression field gens, spacetime compression field gens, I would rather do that now, instead of making another batch of 7s and putting it in my new Eye of Harmony. I'd rather just make a whole new batch of 8s and put those in the Eye of Harmony instead. Now, these are expensive, but I can almost afford them. The only issue is Universium. I need about 10 buckets of Universium, and I have less than 1 right now. So I need to run my Eye of Harmony quite a few more times, unfortunately. That said, there is 1 new item in the Tipler Spacetime Compression Field Gen that is actually sort of interesting, a little bit. And that is the magnetohydrodynamically constrained star matter bolt. I need 278 of them to make 139 Tipler field gens. I need 1 for a scan and 138 for the actual structure, so that's why 139. And these bolts are not just an extrusion recipe. It's an electric implosion recipe, actually. So it uses eternity bolts. These are extrusion or fluid solidification, and this is fine. I'm printing eternity at this point. It also needs a UHV circuit, solar light splitter, and a hologram projector tier 2 from Open Computers. This is something I've never seen or used before, but if it is what it says, that's actually super cool as an Open Computers thing. But to make it, it's quite cheap. This is really easy to make. And the worst part, the magneto-hydrodynamically constrained star matter. This is the pain point, because this is what uses the Universium nanites. And Universium is hard to get. Like I said, I only need about 10 buckets of Universium to finish this off, so hopefully I can get that done this episode, but it's a bit of a wait, so maybe not. We'll see. But the next Eye of Harmony, I'm just going to immediately start off with a tier 8 spacetime compression field gen. And that is the one I'll be using to make more Universium, and the existing one I will repurpose to just be constantly making white dwarf matter or black dwarf matter. Doesn't really matter which one of those. And once I have my Tipler Eye of Harmony, I can upgrade to a Gallifreyan Eye of Harmony. It will be 4 times more expensive, so it's going to be about 40 buckets of Universium. I guess that's fine. And then finally, my third Eye of Harmony will have a tier 9 spacetime field gen. And at that point, I can start upgrading all of the other components as well. I may start upgrading other components along the way based on how long things take. I haven't looked into that super closely. But yeah, I think 999 Eyes of Harmony are on the horizon, finally. Universium jail is so real. One more thing I have learned about. Machines that are off still cost TPS. So I will be ripping up controllers around the base on all these deprecated processing lines and just replacing them with a casing, because I am finally starting to feel low TPS. It's not consistently low, it just occasionally dips below 20, and I notice it now. So I'm going to start ripping up some old unused machines. Or just the controllers, I mean. And I really should get around to making the 3 more NAC fuel refineries, like I said I was going to earlier this episode. Alright, I got some work to do. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, we will try to set up a second Eye of Harmony, after of course making the power generation system more robust. Along the way, we will try to finish as many George milestones as possible. See you next time.